Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Friday. I hope everyone's had a great couple of days. I'm totally energized. I thought yesterday was excellent. It's really gone well. We really took a chance here and weren't sure how this would go, but thank you for everyone who sent along their congratulations and their encouragement and their positive vibes to us. We really appreciate it. The number of creative in Victoria is doing just a spectacular job. Got a laugh yesterday. We had better connection with a guy from Tasmania than we did with a banker in New Westminster, but hey, that's technology for you. What do we know? I want to, just before we start, I want to let you know that we're going back to our friends at MBAA who have helped us with all the brewing seminars. We're going to focus on brewing right after our keynote. And we want to thank the sponsors that are sponsoring those seminars. You're going to hear from them themselves, but I want to acknowledge Top Hops, BSG and Gambrinus, and KPU. It was really rewarding. Many of you know that I have the pleasure of teaching in the fall semester the second year students at KPU, and it's been such a pleasure to see so many of the alumni and the current students online. So this has been a really rewarding couple of days. It is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker. I want to just give you a little bit of background. 8 years ago, when we started down this journey, our first proposal to the government was 3 points. And one of those points was our firm belief that BC possessed a world-class beer culture. We always promoted it, we always talked about it, and we wanted to work with tourism in order to create this world-class beer culture, similar to the world-class wine culture we have and the world-class dining culture that we have, food culture. And I can honestly tell you that through work with Destination BC and the government, the current government, we have just exploded that program. And the fruit of that labor is obviously the BC Ale Trail. We have more member relationships on the BC Ale Trail than we do members, and we've got almost 200 members. So it's a big job to manage, but it's an important job. And it'll become really important as we move forward into the recovery stage once the Dr. Henry lifts the restrictions. We're going in the right direction. There's light at the end of the tunnel. You can feel the vibe. We know we're coming out of this. And tourism, you viewing yourself as a tourism and a hospitality business is really going to help the recovery. So it's my pleasure to introduce Salman Azam. He joined the Minister of Tourism, Arts, Culture, and Sports as an Assistant Deputy Minister for the Tourism Sector Strategy Division in July 2020. Previous to this, Salman was the Assistant Deputy Minister and Executive Financial Officer in Corporate Management Services, serving the Justice and Public Safety sectors, Consolidated Corporate Services Resource. Salman has worked in government at regional, municipal, and provincial levels for 20 plus years in various roles. Among his accomplishments, he led the transit operations at Coast Mountain Bus Company, ran a large project management and technology division at TransLink, and oversaw information technology, human resources, and financial functions, in addition to public engagement, public and policy, and it was the Chief Operating Officer for the Independent Investigations Office of BC. Woo, that's a lot of stuff you've done. He has a BA in Labor Relations from McMaster University in Hamilton, Ontario, and his passions include fair weather hiking. Oh, I like that. I'm a fair weather golfer, Salman, and spending time with his family and reading about politics and technology. It is my sincere pleasure to introduce Assistant Deputy Minister Salman Azam.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. Thank you for that introduction, Ken. Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff. It's probably a function of my attention deficit disorder, but I like doing different things, and tourism definitely fits that bill for me. So good morning, everybody. I'm really pleased to be here. My name is Salman. I'm the ADM for tourism. What I'd like to do today is just give a bit of background, a little bit about me in the portfolio, a little bit about the tourism division itself within the ministry, and then I'd like to focus on giving everybody an update on the tourism task force work that concluded in December. So I'll just start a little bit about me. Thank you for that great introduction, Ken. I came into the tourism ministry in July 2020. It was apparent immediately to me that the industry needs ongoing support. I came in at a very, very challenging time for everybody. At that time, we were planning around what the initiatives would be for Stronger BC. And those were a set of announcements that were made September 18th, 2020. Um, uh, about the industry itself, coming into it, learning about it, I really want to thank all of you, thank the industry for the warm reception, for all the education. I do like to connect with people. I do like to speak with people. My preference has always been to be in person. I know tourism is an in-person business. I've been told it's a very huggy industry. And I look forward to meeting all of you as the pandemic subsides. So that's a bit about me. The tourism division itself, so I'll just talk a little bit about that. So what we're responsible for in the division is setting the strategic direction for tourism in BC as outlined in a strategic framework for tourism. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the Tourism Task Force recommendations. What we also do is work across government on policy and programs that affect tourism. For example, we work closely with Attorney General, work closely with PSSG, my former mates over there, but also closely with Forest and Lands and Jobs and Economic Recovery. So it's a very multifaceted relationship across government that we have to develop and nurture and get support for on our tourism policies. What we also do is coordinate, using those relationships, coordinate and align tourism supports across government. We also oversee the governance of two Crown corporations, Destination BC, of which many of you are familiar with, and PAVCO, which is the Vancouver Convention Center and Stadium. So I just want to take a moment to say that BC recognizes that manufacturers such as beer, wine, cider, and spirit producers are an important sector of the economy alongside restaurants and pubs. I also want to acknowledge the important role manufacturers play in offering unique visitor experiences in communities across BC, big and small. Since the start of the pandemic, the ministry has been working hard to ensure tourism and hospitality sectors are represented in government recovery plans, and we established the Tourism Task Force to support that work. So if you could advance the slide, please. Thank you. So just a little bit of background about the Tourism Task Force. Like I said, it was part of the Stronger BC announcement that was made September 18th. It was composed by 11 members from industry head associations, academics, Indigenous, and it was chaired by Tamara Vrooman, who is our CEO for YVR. We also had labor representatives on our task force as well. During the course of the 2.5 months, and it was an intense 2.5 months, we met 11 times as a group, both in person at the time. We were able to do that, and also met virtually online over a period of 2.5 months. We discovered two things really quickly within a few meetings. One was that the budget we were given by the Stronger BC announcement was $50 million, and the task was to set up the task force and find the best way to support the sector in the short term. We knew two things were true right away. One was that it was not enough money. 50 million was not going to go a long way. And that there was a real sense of urgency all the way through the pandemic. But in the fall, we wanted to recognize that too, that we needed to move really swiftly, really quickly to address the issues, to start addressing the issues adequately. So to that end, for engagement, what we decided to do in November as part of our plan was to have 12 roundtable sessions. And these roundtables were held in geographic areas, had different industry folks attending, had business owners attending as well. And we heard from them directly about what the issues are that the task force needed to address. In addition, we had 12 expert presentations, so people with deep knowledge of their particular part of the industry shared what the challenges were with a wide audience. And we also opened it up to written submissions on the website, and we received many of those. In total, we met with and heard from about 160 industry representatives. And our job, like I said, the task was to spend the 50 million in a way that would support the industry the best. We did have a terms of reference. We were given a date, delivery date of December 31st, 2020. And you can see there, there were three main things that we really needed to focus on. Near-term measures to support businesses and the labor force, advice to accelerate growth, and updating the strategic framework for tourism in BC. Like I said earlier, we recognized right away that December 31st was too late. It was New Year's Eve, and we wanted to make sure the report landed with action in mind. So we set ourselves a date for December 7th to deliver it early and make that impact. Could advance the slide, please. So the recommendations themselves, I'll just talk about the first three. I'll talk about what government did. So what government did was, with the recommendation made from the task force, we took the 50 million that was assigned, we matched it with another 50 million within the small business and small and medium-sized business grant program. And that collectively created a $100 million tourism fund exclusively for tourism businesses. So that money was segregated, set aside to ensure that there was enough short-term relief grant money for small and medium-sized businesses. We really heard from the roundtables and our participants overwhelmingly that short-term liquidity and short-term grants were desired, were needed to keep businesses going and weather, a bit more of the storm into the spring. Where we didn't want to put our focus was on larger operators. And so we elected to stay with the small and medium-sized businesses. There are thousands of them in BC. They have connections to or directly relate into the tourism sector. And we thought that that was the best way to use the money. In addition, the government stepped up and allocated an additional $5 million to Indigenous tourism. Indigenous tourism is recognized as one of the fastest growing subsectors within the industry, and it was important to continue supporting that. All those announcements you saw on December 23rd. We turned in the report December 7th. I can tell you, me and my team worked furiously with our partners across government to ensure that these first three recommendations really landed and were acted on. And I'm pleased to say that with the help of our partners across government, particularly with the Ministry of Finance, we were able to make an announcement in a time that I thought was pretty quick and hopefully impactful for the industry. So all told, we were putting about $105 million into tourism. So I want to move on to the next recommendation, and that was to develop a safety certificate program. And the discussion around this, as we consulted and with the tourism task force, was that we needed to continue to create confidence in the workplace, in the consumer offerings, and to reassure that people who work there had a COVID-19 safety background and were able to show it. So the recommendation to increase confidence, that consumer confidence, was to develop a safety certificate program. And so this is envisioned to be a short online course delivered by a third-party partner. And we've pushed off on this effort, and we're looking to launch this year, hopefully soon. I don't have an exact date, but the intention was to put it out there pretty quick and continue to promote that confidence in the workplace. We can go to the next slide. I think number 5 has been a topic for discussion. There's been lots around rapid testing. There have been pilots. The notable one that came up for us while we were in the task force was the one in Alberta. The data from that coming back is looking very promising. Also, in the time that we were working in the task force, YVR set up a rapid testing station in partnership with UBC, and that pilot has also been going pretty well. And again, the recommendation here was to continue pushing rapid testing where appropriate. So as a ministry, as a division, we're continuing to work closely with our health partners and with industry, and but we also need to work within the existing PHO guidelines. And so that will continue to be a feature, but we will continue to also promote rapid testing, particularly in those places like airports. The rapid testing, incidentally, is also ramping up with the recent federal announcement around restrictions for international travel. I spoke with YVR earlier this week, and they were setting up their operations to receive those international visitors, put them through a process that included rapid testing, and then also follow through with what the federal officials are putting in place in terms of quarantine for international travelers. So we'll be able to see more results from rapid testing from that as well. Number 6, defer or relieve fixed costs. There are several fees that are directly within the control or purview of the provincial government. So these include things like leases, rents, fees, for property. And last summer, we did provide that relief for industry, particularly those who rent land from the province and operate a tourism business on it. We're continuing to explore this recommendation, and we've been talking with other ministries about doing something similar to last August. So those discussions continue. And finally, with the Tourism Task Force discussed and also heard from the panelists that, we do want to learn from this. There is a lot to learn. So aside from dealing with the immediate challenges around business liquidity and controlling the spread, we do want to take an opportunity down the road to examine our strategic framework for tourism, build in all those lessons that we've learned over the last year, and not only come out of recovery, but also really work on being resilient as an industry. I've remarked a few times to friends and colleagues that it seems to me that there's a really big event that happens every 10 years or so that disrupts the status quo. The pandemic certainly qualifies as one, but when I look back, I think about the financial crisis in 2009, the Gulf War at the beginning of 2000, Gulf War in 1990. So there are lots of events that we know will come. And it's on us to work together and create that resiliency. And I think the framework will help us to continue those discussions. And certainly, I think all of you and certainly within government, we've learned a lot about this pandemic. Next slide, please. So I'd like to extend a heartfelt congratulations to Ken Beattie, Monica Frost, and the whole Ale Trail team for the continued innovation and partnership you've achieved over the years. And this includes, as Ken mentioned, the success in expanding your partnerships and growing to 20 ale trails featuring almost 200 breweries since 2015. As well, you're undertaking innovative multi-channel marketing with DBC's co-op marketing program, supporting that critical link between travel and local experiences. You've also collaborated on the Explore BC IPA, another innovative partnership to reinforce tourism links to culinary experiences, promoting the stay local marketing message and continuing to promote local tourism while PHO travel restrictions are in place. And also, when it's safe to market experiences again, our BC Ale Trails will be a critical piece to help people get out to explore their local offerings. Next slide, please. And finally, I also want to recognize that PHO orders have impacted the industry and our brew pubs as well as distilleries. Restaurants and the hospitality sector need support right now as these businesses have experienced significant financial harms as a result of the pandemic. However, I'm encouraged that the Business Technical Advisory Panel has helped to increase communication and collaboration between the hospitality and manufacturing sectors and government. And I really appreciate Ken Beattie's representation of your industry on the panel. Early in the pandemic, government recognized the impact of COVID and acted swiftly to make key policy changes while work remains ongoing with industry stakeholders to identify potential and additional supports. Actions undertaken by government that remain in effect to support the industry during the pandemic include temporarily authorizing that sale and delivery of sealed liquor products for off-site consumption with the purchase of meals, which has been extended until March 31st, 2021. Temporarily extending the hours of service and delivery at liquor retail stores. So that's 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Until March 31st, 2021. This particular one supports licensees financially while also enabling seniors and other at-risk populations to shop for liquor at times when there will be fewer customers in the store. And also implementing a temporary cap on food delivery app fees so restaurants aren't charged excessive commission fees. This will help them to stay open and keep staff on the payroll. Also temporarily permitting the expansion of service areas and patios during COVID-19 that will expire October 31st in 2021. Incidentally, I was part of Attorney General when that came through, and it was remarkable to see how quick those decisions were made to support this particular one. I was pleased to see that. And finally, also approving a temporary hospitality pricing model, allowing liquor licensees to purchase beer, wine, and spirits at reduced costs. So this particular one provides financial support with liquor licenses and will be in place until March 31st, 2021. And finally, we know every day counts right now for the hospitality and tourism industry. And government is working to explore to put some of these opportunities in permanently, including the authorizing the expansion of service areas such as patios, allowing restaurants and pubs to purchase beer, wine, spirits at wholesale cost, and finally to allow liquor delivery for restaurants and bars with the purchase of a meal for takeout or delivery. Next slide, please. So I want to thank you for your attention. Thank you for the invite. And Ken, I want to thank you and congratulate you on some great work that that you continue to do with your organization. And I'll pause there.
Thanks. Sorry about that. I was ready. I promise. There you go. I missed that. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a really great. I mean, we talked about Salman. So you know, in kind of introductory discussions, we talked about. When there is the will of the government and the will of the industry to work together to get something done, you see that getting done. And I think one of the key learnings and kind of the silver linings, if we say, of the relationship between government and industry is this absolute ability to say, hey, we're in a crisis. We got to take the red tape and get the streamline things and get things done. Let's put the pieces together maybe a little bit later and get what needs to be done right away. And I know you were involved in the patio issues at the start. So we appreciate that. We really appreciate the continued work and the acknowledgement that there is obviously on the table currently the government's vision is to find a way to make those COVID responses permanent. So that's great. I'm struggling to find the chat. Why can't I find the chat? Because we have some questions. We did ask some of our stakeholders to provide questions. And I did put them in the chat. And now oh wait, I think I found it. Okay, sorry. My chat bubble disappeared there. So give me a sec. I am not had a lot of extensive experience in technology like you, so bear with me. I think you might have answered. So one of the questions that we had was, what is your advice for craft brewers who are seeking financial assistance to get them through 2021 and looking ahead into the future once the pandemic is behind us?
Yeah, thank you for that, Ken. My advice would be certainly please take advantage of the small and medium-sized business grant program. It's a good program. Put your application in. If for any reason you find yourself stuck in the process, our colleagues at Jobs and Economic Recovery have people who can help you through the process. And also, if you have any doubts, whether or not you qualify, again, I'd encourage you to apply. Not only will you receive assistance through the process, but there are also adjudicators that will look at your application. So it's not just a computer spitting out a result, it's real people looking at what's really needed. I'd certainly encourage you to look at that. There are several federal programs out there as well. I know in the fall economic statement, there were several loan programs and additional tourism supports that were given. And so I would certainly encourage people to look at that. Where to find all this information? I think if what I'd encourage you to do is contact Small Business BC if you haven't already. Also, there is a really great network called the Tourism Resiliency Program, and it's operated by our regional destination management organizations. And if you go there, there's a lot of supports and things to point you in the right direction. And also, we have to also recognize, this is all taking a toll on us, on our mental health. I know personally for me, I've been working at home. I've had very little contact. And it is a very, very difficult time, especially when you're trying to run a business at the same time. So on that Tourism Resiliency Network, there are also supports there for people to reach out and get that kind of support as well. So Ken, I think I'd urge people to test those avenues and get those kinds of supports, and hopefully that's helpful for everybody.
Yeah, thanks for that. We part of this conference is we're launching an online community to make sure what COVID showed us is the importance of not only timely but effective communication, and without being overwhelming. So kind of running through the stuff, kind of editing what we needed to get the message out. So we've created an online community that is launched as of now. I think we now have over 500 members in the community. It's supplier and members. And we'll be able to post these sorts of information and these resources. We're building a resource library, obviously, to be able to help along the way. So those information, we'll make sure that we get that information to the members. So we appreciate that. Another question, Destination BC and Destination Canada often position BC's leadership in craft brewing as a reason to visit. How will the ministry partner with the industry to bring domestic tourism and international, when the time is right, to BC to experience the award-winning craft beers?
Yeah, great. Again, a really good question. So Destination BC does provide the broader inspirational marketing domestically and internationally. I can assure you they're going to continue to do that, to bring overnight visitation to the province. But they'll do that as provincial health orders are eased. And so you'll see that, as they're eased, you'll see Destination BC, increasing that awareness out there. But we do have to work within provincial health orders, as everybody knows. Also, Destination BC's cooperative marketing program continues to support the BC Ale Trail. Much of the content created for this program will continue to be shared in our domestic and international channels. It's important for partners of Destination BC to acquire third-party rights for photo and video content, as this extends to their partners too, such as Destination Canada. So Destination BC works with the Ale Trail to ensure these rights apply to the content as it's being created, to ensure significant distribution across their channels. And then, the final thing I'll add here is the L Trail also contributes photos and video to the BC Content Hub, which is a collaborative repository of content that Destination BC's partners can access and share. So there'll continue to be that support there, Ken, through Destination BC. There is a commitment to, I think BC Trail will feature prominently in our recovery.
Yeah, we've had lots of great experiences with Destination BC and Destination Canada. I think one of my proudest moments was the Destination BC pre-COVID when they were promoting internationally, and I think we had like 45 seconds of an 8-minute kind of clip, that promotional video that goes around the world. And we did have Jen from Destination BC talk to us during the conference about how to amplify and support the message. And remember to use the hashtag Explore BC and hashtag BC Ale Trail, because if you get caught up, I think Jordan from Steel and Oak, if that image gets picked up and gets sent, the reach that Destination BC has is awesome. I mean, it's millions of people view it. So that's really good. We had a question, I'll go to somebody who's asked today. Aside from the public policy that can help craft brewers, what will the government do to ensure the capital investments are made into the industry? What is the government's plan doing in terms of long-term strategic planning to help grow the industry?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'll just reference again Stronger BC, the announcements that were made September 18th. So within that announcement, there was a $100 million fund that was established. Part of that fund is dedicated to infrastructure within communities, developing that tourism infrastructure within communities. There are several projects that are all over the province that are specifically tourism oriented and with the intention of building out that long-term infrastructure that's needed to continue growing. And so I'd point to that as the major place where infrastructure for tourism is being handled. Also, strategically for the province, we have developed a destination development strategy. Our friends at DBC have put together, what that could look like for the province as well. We're trying to align all the infrastructure money that's going in to stimulate the economy and build this infrastructure is aligned to that overall strategy for British Columbia and developing our destinations. So those are two major areas. I do expect that we'll continue to support infrastructure projects. The ones that were announced in 2020, September 18th, those projects will start no later than the end of this year and will continue through to 2023. They'll provide hundreds of jobs and also focus on that building of infrastructure within communities.
Awesome. And I think you probably touched on this, but the ministry's support for craft breweries in the post-pandemic world through experiences like BC Ale Trail and the growth of the craft beer industry is a key differentiator for us against competing. How do you compete against other? I mean, I think it's through Destination BC, to be honest, but with the support of the ministry, obviously. But in terms of, is there other ways that you differentiate ourselves, BC, when we travel international or the government travels internationally? How do we become part of that? Maybe is the question. I know the wine industry often is featuring BC wines. Is there our ability to feature BC beers at those when we're allowed to travel and whenever that might be? But is that something you would look at to do?
Yeah, I think if we mirror, I'm familiar with BC Wine and the marketing of that from my time at Attorney General. I think it's very effective. Of course, I'd be, open to looking at how we can continue to support that from a policy perspective, and how we can get the message out further. What I would take away from your question is that I would work with my friends at Jobs and Economic Recovery. They oversee international trade, and what I can commit here is to having that discussion, pointing to the success the BC wine industry has had. And Ken, I think continuing to have the dialogue with DBC through Richard Porges, myself, that we can advance the cause a bit further. So I don't have a solid answer on what we're doing right now, but as travel restrictions ease, as the ability to go out there and market further, and the recognition that BC Ale Trail is very successful, and could be highly desirable if we market it further. I want to explore all of those for sure.
Great, that's awesome. And one last question. There's a sense that the tourism task force, this is kind of internal talk, but we'll make it public. There's the sense that the tourism task force support will mainly go to the hotel industry. Will there be concrete support for other sectors?
Yeah, so the tourism task force report is available. It's been available since December 23rd. So if you do a search, you can read the full report. I'll refer back to the small and medium-sized business recovery grant. It's open to all BC businesses. There is a special provision in there to recognize tourism industry. There is a special top-up as well. And so if you're you're within the tourism industry, you not only are eligible for the grant, but because you're tourism industry, you also are eligible for a $15,000 top-up as well, recognizing the plight that tourism is in. Part of the recommendations, was to relax and make it available to more businesses, and that included on the tourism side as well. So my encouragement is apply for the grant. It's not exclusively targeted for one industry or the other. It's intended to help everybody, but we ensured within the tourism task force that there was that special recognition for tourism, and that's how the $100 million fund came about.
That's great. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. It was super informative. I look forward to working directly with you. That's why we really wanted you on this, to make sure that we were talking to the people who are getting the work done and putting it forward to the deputy minister and the minister, knowing how busy their jobs are and your job is. So we appreciate you taking the time. Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew, for working in the background, and we really appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us.
Ken, it was a real pleasure, and hope to see you again soon, and come back next year as well, and have some more fun news to talk about.
Yeah, and hopefully in person.
And hopefully in person. I look forward.
We'll put a beer in your hand that time.
Well, after hours for sure.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, wait till you find out what brewery hours are. You might like them.
Take care, guys. Have a good conference.
Great. Thank you. That was really appreciative. Just so you know that Salman works with Minister Mark, and Minister Mark is, if you don't know, because you're maybe not in Vancouver, Minister Mark's riding is in Vancouver, and her riding literally is in the middle of East Vancouver and the Brewery Creek district. So she, I think, represents 25 breweries in her riding. That's got to be the most in North America. I can't imagine there's more breweries in one person's riding. So thanks, everyone. We're going to take a 15-minute break. The one thing that we've acknowledged, Nancy Moore, thank goodness, is coming back to look after the theme, brewing theme again, the theme is sponsored by Mile 37 Canning. So look forward to that. We're going to, the one thing that we're missing in this obviously is the ability to meet and network and kind of socialize like we like to do. So our great solution for this is Quiz This, the show. If you haven't signed up, please do. It is I did it on Tuesday, and you know I am the most technically challenged human probably out there, and I had an absolute gas. Stressful because you're using your phone and your computer, but it makes you drink faster, which is good. And there's a lot of people that you didn't know. I got to meet Kieran from Lakesider, who I'd never met. So I really appreciated that. So sign up for that. We're going to run a little ad, I think, right now, and we'll put up the invite. And if you got nothing to do between 4 and maybe 5:30, trust me, you should do this. And we all stand a chance of winning because Evan, the Jeopardy guy, he's ducking me, so he's not coming. So, you know, let's see who's going to land on top. Okay, we'll see you at 10 o'clock, and Nancy Moore will take over. Thank you.